Hi guys, it's the night before our quiz on percents. So here's the study guide. As always, take a look. See what you're getting spot on and what you're not. A few ideas before I begin. On the back, there's 4 or 5 different types of problems. That's it. Percent means out of 100. Okay, so if I say 33%, what does that mean? It means 33 out of 100, aka 33 out of 100, or 33 hundredths, like that, 0.33. Okay, that's just one background thing to have, out of 100. If you don't know that, tomorrow's going to be hard. And then the next one is, we have a lot of problems that are saying, they give you the total, might say it's 40, and they'll say, tell me what some percent of 40 is. And we've done this in class with the number line where we'd say, this is 0%, this is 100. All right, so that's 50, this is 25, and this is 75. Without even knowing much, we know that 50% of 40 is 20, because you're doing divided by 2 and all sorts of things. Just seeing this, we've seen it many times. So when I say what's 37% of 40, I told you the total, and you need to tell me what 37% is, which is somewhere around, here, but you can't just guess, you're gonna be wrong. Our strategies with this were, to figure out what 10% of 40 is, and then what 5%, and then 1%, and combine those up, to make 37. So I need like 3 of these, 1 of those, and then 2 of those. Just like pennies, nickels, and dimes, you could add that up. Or we can just say, essentially, what's 37 times 40? And then after you do that, you move the decimal back twice. Why does that work? Because 37% is the same as 0.37. And of means multiply. So if I say 0.37 times 40, well, we know we don't want to do that. So this is kind of rough. We got to move the decimal out twice to make it 37 times 40, only to move the decimal back in twice. So a common rule of thumb is that with percents, you just multiply the 2, and then at the end, you move the decimal in twice, okay? Or you can get some number and then look at your number line and figure out, so what makes the most sense? So let's do that really quick. 0, 0, that was easy. 4, well, I've got to do this, 28, and then I have 12 and 14. So what makes sense here? Add these up. I've got 0, 8, 4, 1. And so if I move this twice, I'm going to get 14.8. How did I know that? Like, does 1480 make sense? 1,480? No, it's got to be in that spot. Like, what number makes sense to go there? 148? No. 1.48? No. So the only one that makes sense is 14.8. Anyways. And then really quick, so that's one problem where they say, tell me the percent of this total. The other is they say, here is the percent of a total. You got to find the total. So essentially they're saying 15% of what is 20. And we have a problem like that on the back side that I'll show you. But you need to know then that what they're telling you is not the number that's the total. They're telling you like the 15% number. So they're telling you that right about here is 20. Sorry, I put it up there to be consistent. So what would the whole thing be? And if you make this, like, it'll really help you to figure out, like, am I even close? And we'll talk about that strategy in a second. Essentially, the best one we're finding is a ratio table where you go down and then back up to 100% of your total. All right, so without further ado, convert the percent into a fraction or mixed number. 28%, percent means out of 100, 28 out of 100. Now it doesn't say simplify, okay? I always say we should. They're both even. Like, let's be the best at math that we can be. So that becomes 14 over 50 because I divide them both by 2. They're both still even, so I get 7 out of 25. I now have a prime number over a weird number. Like, it's not going to work. You check 2, 3, 5, and 7, why not? But it's not divisible. So 7/25 should be our final answer for that. Rick did 150% of his required reading, so that means he did more than he was supposed to. Like, think about that holistically. I don't know if holistically is the right word. That's all right. Write this percent as a fraction or mixed number. So what is it? 150%. That means 150 out of 100. I can reduce that Or right now, what I actually want to do is say, let's take 100 out. So I know I have one whole and 50 100s left, right? So this 50 100s, I mean, hopefully we realize that that's the same as 1/2, okay? And I shouldn't be doing these equal signs. I'm realizing that more. It's bad shorthand. Just, this is my thinking. So I really have 1/2. That's the mixed number. I don't want to leave it, even though it says as a fraction. To me, it's like, right, what's the most appropriate? So this should be 1/2. Yeah. Convert the fraction to a percent. I have 6/20. Remember, percent means out of 100. This is the same as saying 6/20 equals what over 100? Well, how do I get there? I look at this connection. That's 20 to 100 is times 5. We've been seeing that a lot recently. So 6 times 5 is 30. Ergo, this should be 30%. Okay. Man, I'm just imagining. I really hope that nobody is just going to like look at this and write this stuff down. You're going to fail the quiz if you do that. Just FYI. I have optimism in all of you, though, as long as you study the right way and you prepare. And you will. Sarah scored 4 out of the 5 touchdowns. What percent is that? So it's 4 out of 5. Remember, percent needs to get to over what? Over 100. 5 to 100 is really the opposite. That's times 20. So what's 4 times 20? 80. So that's a percent style answer, though, so I need to tell them that. I don't give them, 4 out of 5 again. Like if I said 80 out of 100, doesn't that just reduce to 4 out of 5? That doesn't help anybody. Mr. Destroyer had 50 bricks to destroy. Before he took a coffee break, he destroyed 30% of the bricks. So really understand, like, what is this? How many did he destroy before the break? So really it's asking me, what's 30% of 50? I'm going to use the tip and taxes method where we say, first I'll find 10%. Okay, so I'm going to say 50, move the decimal once. Okay, divide by 10. So 10% of 50 is 5. Well, then 30 is 3 tens, okay? It's like 10%, 10%, and 10%. You agree that that'd be 30%. And if I know the value of 10%, 5, 5, and 5, now I just combine those and I'll have 15. So this guy destroyed 15 bricks before the coffee break. That meant 35 more. And you can use a number line to support yourself to say, does that make sense? 0 to how many bricks? 50. And then 0% to 100. Okay, and just thinking this would be 25 bricks and 50%. And less than that, it's like, yeah, it works out. You're saying 30% is right about here. Does 15 make sense? Yes. Okay. Over the next ones, I'll show you the other strategies too. A discount on toothpaste, sort of. The 2-pack is on sale for 20% off the original price. The original price was $35, so it's the new price. This one is really, I really should do the 10% thing here because it's 20. 20, 30, I should be thinking use the 10% tips and taxes strategy. So 35 bucks is 100%. So I know that 10%, remember that decimal move once for this, it would be 3.5. And I'll go back through at the end to combine like dollars and cents, 2 decimal places. So then I gotta say, all right, well, what's 20%? And this is just a ratio table without the lines. Times 2, so it's 3.5 times 2, it's 7. Come back to the problem and read it carefully. Discount off the original price 35. So we're losing $7 from this. So what do? 35 losing 7 because I'm getting a sale here. That's what I should really notice. That's 28. So $28. Okay, no cents. That's fine. I don't need to put .00. I could though if I wanted to. I don't know. All right, Mr. Olson, you got these snowflakes here from that Snowflake Drive. 55%, a little bit nastier. So I'm going to go with this other strategy of just multiplying and then moving the decimal. So I see this word of. I know that that means multiply. Okay, so 55%. Well, that's the same as 0.55. So if I'm going to do 0.55 times 60, do I want to do that? No. This is, again, just like the introduction. Move the decimal out. I'll have to move it back in at the end. If you really understand this, you can start to just multiply it now and move the decimal twice at the end. But I kind of like to show all the steps here. So now I have 55 and 60, okay? And I'm even going to hide the 0 and bring it back at the end. This is why audio matters, is if you just see me do this, you're wondering, like, what is he up to? So I'll just remember 0 at the end. 6 times 5 is 30. 0, 3. Another 30, 33. Okay, and then I said, all right, but it's 60, so I got this other 0, so really the answer to this is 3,300. And then I got these 2 decimal places, so I'll move it back in. So I'm getting 33 snowflakes. Does that make sense? Just over half? Absolutely it does. And really, guys, I should have done the tips and taxes. I mean, I could say, what's half of 60? 30. And then what's 5%? Well, knowing that 6 was 10, I could say half of that would be 3. Anyway, you have so many ways to solve this. It's kind of the good and bad news about this. So this is the hard one. This is where they're telling me a part of it, and they're saying, so what's the whole, right? He earned $80 over the summer. That's 20% of what he wants to make, because he's going to go buy something that costs more money. So what's the total amount? So I don't know the total. I have to find that. I can't think of a better strategy than just writing a blank ratio table with these two things. And then putting in what I know. I know that he earned $80 and 20%. The biggest mistake people are going to make is they're going to put 80 here and then 20 here. Okay, just slow. 20%. 80. I could even make it a cash sign. 80. Okay, and what am I trying to get to? If you're finding the total is another word for 100%. Sometimes it's easy. You don't even have to go down. You just say, how do I get from 20 to 100? Times 5. So 80 times 5 is 400. Because, 8 times 5 and bring back the 0. So $400. Does that make sense? I highly suggest this tomorrow. Highly suggest people go back through and they say, so I'm saying that 400 was the amount. So how can I double check that? If I find 20% of 400, shouldn't that give me 80? If it does, then you were right. So 20% of 400, I'll do the 10% rule. So I'll say 10% is 40. And that means 20% double is 80. Boom. Got it. Anyways, guys, that's that. So if this still isn't helping you, contact me for a little bit more explanation. I'll do my best. Really look at our resources. We had some Khan Academy videos last week, too. You guys should all do great on this thing, though. As long as you prepare, you got this.